Who should WWE push after WrestleMania? I'm Will, that's Brandon. We are the Cousins of Destruction Wrestling Podcast. As always, let's cheers. Talk about some wrestling, huh?
Yeah, WrestleMania is the end of some stories, the beginning of some stories, and you look at the next year of wrestling. Who really deserves that push? Who maybe missed out on one? Who had a misstep? Who are they just doing completely wrong? We're going to give our opinions on that.
Yep, WrestleMania season's here. It's coming up, but we're looking ahead. We're already looking ahead. Night one, everybody knows Raw after Mania is when things really get started for the next season of WWE wrestling. So we each made ourselves a little bit of a list. We don't show each other the list. We're going to get after it. I'm going to let him go first. Before that, please, if you like this type of content, like, follow, subscribe, share it with others. Let's continue to grow this community. But let's get after it. Who do you think they should push first?
Yeah, you know what? I'm going with the number one pick.
Don't do it.
I don't know if this is the right pick or not.
Don't do it.
But I'm going specifically Solo Sikoa going solo.
Oh,
I think that Solo, yeah, you like that? I think Solo has really had a great year for a while there, and then the Rumble to Mania stuff, the little bit stuff with Jacob. I don't want to say it's a misstep because I understand the character, but it's like he's not to that level that he once was in the, like, what is that, 2024? He's not really to that level. I thought he could have arguably been an MVP. He's one or two probably. He did some really good stuff as the Bloodline 2.0 leader. I'm a little bit worried, with Fatu in him because of Fatu's star power, how great Fatu is. I want to make sure they give Solo the proper push and make sure they really kind of solidify him on his own. I understand maybe Tonga Loa kind of play in the background a little bit, but I really want this year after Mania to be a step forward for Solo by himself.
Yeah, I didn't have him. I thought about him, but I thought, they gave him a push this year, right, with Bloodline 2.0, which I think that he lived up to. I know that's a very controversial topic, but I see what you're saying here. Without the Bloodline, what can Solo do? We're obviously going to kick him out of the Bloodline because him and Jacob are going to be going after it.
Or maybe they kick Jacob out. I don't know.
Either way, there's not going to be much of a Bloodline 2.0 left. Jacob Fatu is going to win that feud. Sorry, it's going to happen. Right. So what happens afterward? I don't know. You're going to need to push him somewhere, do something with it. You got to keep the momentum that you had building with them. So I can see them doing that and giving him a good push.
Yeah.
When you said number one pick, though, I thought you were going with this man.
I said I already know who the pick is. I took him off my list. I didn't keep him on my list because I knew you'd have him on yours.
My list starts and should end with this man. In 2025, WWE needs to push Dirty Dom. We need to get a title and some tendies on that man. We need to be establishing him as a threat that doesn't look like an incompetent idiot every time he's in the ring alone. Yes, he's a great seller and he makes people look phenomenal, but he should be able to pin somebody every once in a while. And in the 2025 to 2026 wrestling season, we need Dirty Dom to start acting like a grown man.
Yeah, I didn't put him on my list, but he deserves to make the list. You look at AJ Styles, even in interviews, he's putting over how great Dirty Dom is compared to where Dirty Dom was when he first came in. Realistically, a few years ago, you look back and you're like, man, is this guy even gonna make it? Is he just gonna be one of those guys? Hey, my dad's on the roster, so I'm gonna be on the roster too types. And Dom has completely flipped that, and he's been the best heel over the past year and a half or so. So yeah, they need to give him some backing because he's done all of that with no backing.
Titles and tendies.
Yeah, titles and tendies. It's that easy. You know what? I'm going to go with maybe another pick that should be high up. I'm going Carmelo Hayes here.
Yeah.
This one seems to be kind of obvious. You talk about NXT call-ups and just the lack thereof for some of them sometimes. What are they doing with that guy? That guy came up, all the talent in the world. He showcased that in NXT, being the NXT champion. Comes up and really has done a whole lot of nothing. He seems to be the athletic guy in the ring that can sell and is the heel that, whoever comes back can beat him, even though they've been off for months and he's been putting in the work. They need to do something with him, whether that is let's say a tag with him and Miz, with the Mellow Don't Miz. I really do enjoy that. Or if they want to put him on the singles route and have him really kind of go after that U.S. title. I'd like to see it not with LA Knight because we already kind of saw that, but who really knows? They just got to give him a push.
Yeah, completely agree. I had him on my list. I said we need to get that man to Raw and get him winning matches ASAP because he is kind of becoming a joke. Love Carmelo Hayes, but he really is that guy, like you just said, the guy who's like, oh, we haven't seen this other guy's face in a while. What do? We throw him in a match against Carmelo Hayes, which I know being a utility guy like that is very valuable in WWE, and the man gets screen time every single week. So what are we complaining about? But I like to see the man win. He was such a great factor in NXT. He should be a winner. He should be a guy who's around the mid-card titles and winning them. Give him some belts this year. Let him do his thing. Speaking of another person who I want to see take a step up this year, which people are kind of going to disagree with this one because they would argue that he had a good push this year anyways. I am going to put Braun Breaker on here because I think this should be the year where we not just push him, we should make him a champion, a world champion. If anything, I think at WrestleMania, whatever the Fatal 4-Way looks like, I think Braun Breaker should lose that, and I think that he should be the first big feud that Mr. Main Event Jey Uso has after he's done with Gunther in the World Heavyweight Championship reign. That's how soon I want Braun Breaker to be pushed. I think that man by SummerSlam should be in, maybe even at SummerSlam, in the world title picture. Honestly, he's that good. I think that even though he's had the Intercontinental title around his waist, they really still haven't utilized him to the way that they should. So I think this should be his year. Braun Breaker should really break through and become that guy this year.
Yeah, I'm not going to sit here and argue with that pick. We talked about how talented he is. You see it in the ring. He's gotten progressively better on the mic. He's working with Paul Heyman backstage to learn everything he can. So, I mean, he is the future. Well, the future might be here sooner than we think. So, I'm going to piggyback off of that idea with a thought of this one might be controversial. This one might not get a lot of likes. This one might be like, well, how can you say she needs a push? She's been pushed. I'm going Liv Morgan because you look at it. She is now in a floundering tag title scene. She's nowhere near where she needs to be. She deserves the Mania match. We talk about that all the time. We're not getting it. So we need to have Liv Morgan kind of be established again. I mean, when she was doing some of the best work in all of wrestling there for a while, when she was the champion, when her and the Rhea feud, I understand it went on a little bit too long, but she has progressively gotten better in the ring. She's progressively made everybody look better in the ring. It was really the year of Morgan last year. She was the women's MVP. You could argue this year she's already that as well. And what do we have for her? We have tag titles that aren't really on screen. She's not really on screen. And that's really kind of all we get. So I understand that might get a little bit of pushback about the push, but somebody's got to say it.
I get what you're saying. I think that she's been pushed a ton, but I get what you're saying. I think the way to word it would be to push WWE creative to get her better storylines because she's the best in the business in the women's division, arguably. And yeah, I think it's ridiculous that we're walking into WrestleMania and she really doesn't have anything to do. In terms of pushing her, though, I think that's a little bit of a stretch, but
I don't think so.
You good.
I don't think so.
We're going to go with a woman who I think really needs a push this year. Zoe Stark.
Oh boy!
You
cannot sit here and criticize my Liv Morgan and then throw out Zoe Stark right after.
Oh, please hate on him for this. Zoe Stark is phenomenal in the ring, and she's a great off-TV personality. And she's doing this thing right now on social media where she's taking pictures of like Rhea smacking her ass and Bianca Belair on the ring with her ring gear, and she's censoring them. She's putting a big censor around them, and it's like, this is why the women's division is failing, and it's all in kayfabe. So like a censoring Zoe Stark badass character sounds like such a great push. I think that she was obviously not utilized at all during PFC, and she was the highlight in the ring for them. I think Zoe Stark's phenomenal. I think that she could be a really established heel on the Raw roster this year.
I'm not going to disagree with that. It's PFC, so I can't really say anything too bad about them. If we're going to trash my Liv Morgan pick, I'll redeem myself here. I'm taking the first tag team off the board here with the push. I'm going with the Creed brothers.
I have them.
They need to be pushed. They're fantastic on the mic. You talk about social media. Them as well as Ivy Nile. They're all great on TikTok, all three of them. They kind of bounce back and forth, or they do different songs or rankings or whatever. They're awesome. They're phenomenal in the ring. We talk every week, every match. Julius is a god in the ring. Brutus is fantastic. Really would have liked to see them take those tag titles off of the War Raiders, but doesn't look like they're quite ready yet to pull that trigger. But let's not have this turn into another Alpha Academy situation.
It already is. I have them on my. I have Creed Brothers and Ivy Nile. I have American Made without Chad Gable on my list. They have officially become the second faction that has gone to the side and been forgotten about after WWE decided to just change up and go with Chad doing something else. which I love Chad Gable. I think the El Grande Americano is hilarious. I thought that his stuff with the Wyatt Six was great, but he left Alpha Academy in the dust for the Wyatt Six stuff, and now he's left American Made in the dust for the Grande stuff, and it doesn't feel right. The Creed brothers are the Raw equivalent of the Street Profits in the ring. They're that good. I mean, obviously, Street Profits have them nudged, but with time and with a decent push, they're the Street Profits of Raw. Mm-hmm. They're phenomenal. Please give the Creed brothers a solid tag team run in this next year wrestling. Let them establish a nice tag division on Raw. And Ivy Nile herself, can't say enough good things about her either. She's a pit bull. She's great. Get her in the Intercontinental's title scene ASAP. Let her cook. Maybe against a push Zoe Stark, huh? How about that? Added that in there.
Yeah,
Zoe Stark's great. I don't know why you're hating on that.
No, I'm not hating on that.
I'm gonna keep it on the women's division real quick though. I'm gonna say this: we're not gonna include NXT. That might be a whole other podcast. Actually, that will probably be a whole other podcast on who should be called up after WrestleMania because NXT's cooking. But this person has been teetering on the outside of the main card in NXT for a while now. Roxanne Perez. I think this should be the quickest push out of any of the pushes on my list. I think Roxanne Perez should immediately be in the Intercontinental title scene come after WrestleMania, and I'm not going to lie, she should be the one to take it off Lyra if we're not going to get Lyra a match at WrestleMania for that title. Roxanne's that good. We need to stop teasing her in NXT and like just forcing her to stay down there a little bit while she's dipping her feet into Raw. Get her on Raw, get her the solid push, let her establish that title. I think she's the perfect fit.
Yeah, I was really excited when they kind of brought her up to the main roster-ish, but then they kind of looked like maybe they got scared or cold feet or something, and they were like, man, let's maybe not do that. Maybe some injuries on the NXT women's roster forced them to maybe bring it down. That's just a spitball off the top of my head. I don't know, but Roxanne is a star, so yeah, no debate here. I only had one other NXT person I could talk about real quick. I just had Ethan Page on there just because I love Ethan Page. Yeah, why not? I don't really care.
All ego, baby.
I don't really care what he does. I just like him on screen. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to take I got like three more that are really important here. But this one's kind of all encompassing. This one's kind of a cheat pick here. I'm saying all the women that are not named Rhea, Io, Bianca, Charlotte, Tiffany. You can even throw Liv in there.
I like it.
The women's division as a whole needs a better push. We have two titles here with the women's US and the women's Intercontinental that are rarely really seen on TV. The feuds aren't really there. You're kind of just throwing stuff at the wall, throwing matches at the wall. No real promos. You had these tournaments. You had the Queen of the Ring tournament that I thought was great. Mm-hmm. You have the women's tag titles that Liv and Raquel won, and that's kind of it, right? You have so many stars, and it feels like the women's division is kind of, they utilize those tops, let's say 6-ish roughly. And the rest of them, they're kind of just like, well, whatever. Whenever we get time for you, we'll do that. There needs to be more emphasis on the women's wrestling. Needs to be more emphasis on creative process for them in terms of better storylines, better feuds. I mean, if you look at what Naomi did, right? The Naomi stuff right now is fantastic. So the women have the ability to have these feuds that are just as great as the men, if not better. And we need to kind of utilize that more going forward.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. Not even close. I mean, there are rumors that we are going to get another evolution, right? That's what the pay-per-view is called. We're going to get another evolution coming up, which is a good step. I love that. And this isn't even about pushing like some type of agenda. It's legitimately like, holy shit, we have the most stacked women's division ever. We do when it comes to the roster, and we utilize the very top of it, and that's it on a weekly basis. And then you kind of every once in a while trot out women that are great that you haven't seen in forever, and they get no reaction from the crowd because you've done nothing for them. And then you're just like, oh, well, they got no reaction. Throw them right back off screen. We saw it with the party people on SmackDown. It's like they came back out and the whole crowd was like, who are these people again? And then we probably won't ever see them again for the next foreseeable future, right? We have so many great women. Get them more screen time. Get them more time on a show. I've been saying for a long time I want a whole women's show. You could delete one of these LFGs, one of these Evolves. We don't need 50 developmental programs about wrestling. I'm sorry if you love them. And you could just devote that to the women's storylines alone. And I think that would be phenomenal for them. But I'm with you. If the women's division as a whole needs a good old-fashioned push in 2025, 2026.
Yeah, and you look at it and like, I kind of like the idea of a separate show because then you could have, like, it wouldn't be brand specific, right? You could have the Raw women mingling with the SmackDown, and then there's NXT that want to come up at like a set show like that. I think that'd be really cool.
I completely agree. I have a couple cheap ones that I want to get out there just to throw them at the wall. Kind of like you kind of broke the door or opened the door for me with the Liv Morgan take.
Breaking the walls down.
So I am just going to say Drew McIntyre, Kevin Owens. I think that obviously they both got huge pushes this year. They got a ton of screen time. I think that they should legitimately win titles this year at some point. Reward your best talents for doing their best work. That's all I'll kind of say there. And then I want to say, as a serious one, JD McDonough. I think that there is a opportunity here to do something crazy off of a crazy incident that happened. I think a ton of the wrestling world really had their stock rise for JD when he took the bump off the announce table, which broke him in half, basically, and how he handled that and how he kept working and persevered through it and finished the match in amazing style. I think that that's lightning in a bottle that you've captured. And if you repackage him the right way and reintroduce him to the crowd in the right way, I think you could really set him ablaze. So I think that he should get a really good push whenever he comes back this year.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll go off the Drew McIntyre and Kevin Owens stuff. Yeah, it's kind of the same thing with Liv Morgan. And I know Liv Morgan had a world title last year, so please don't go after me in the comments. But it feels like Liv, Drew, Kevin, they all did fantastic work. And then they kind of just were like, oh, well, you guys are so good enough that we'll just put you over here. We won't give you anything meaningful. You're really good, so just have at it, that sort of thing. So that's kind of the same thought that I had. JD kind of needs to be. He might be the one on the list here that you're like, okay, this has to happen. As you said, a lot of people maybe didn't know about him or weren't familiar with him before the stuff. They're just like, oh, he's just a Judgment Day guy. He takes the bumps. Pat makes fun of him because he's got a big head. Well, he gets, like you said, his stock rose. He really just tough through that. That's a tough incident. And yeah, it's a terrible accident. But like you said, those don't happen very often. The wrestling community, for once, was very positive, very like, oh my God, which was great to see. That was fantastic. So you really got to capitalize on that, like you said. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to say I got one more.
Let's do it.
And then, I guess I got two more, but I got one by himself and then a couple in a special category here.
Yep, same.
I'm going Ludwig Kaiser.
Yep, have him.
But I'm pushing him to SmackDown.
Oh, really?
I'm pushing him to SmackDown specifically because I feel like he's fought everybody on Raw besides Gunther. And I understand that Gunther probably loses at Mania and maybe you can run that back there. I would say that would be the only way I would have him stay on Raw.
Yeah.
I would, if he goes after Gunther and him and Gunther fight at, say, SummerSlam or something like that, I'm fine with it. I'm okay. But I do think he needs something. I would kind of push him towards SmackDown because he's kind of gone through everybody on the Raw roster and he doesn't really have anything to show for it at the end of the day. You're like, hey, he's really good. Yeah. He's really good on the mic. He's good in the ring. He has phenomenal matches. Everybody looks good. Everybody always gets the upper hand on him. So it's like, I would like to see him at least feud with some new people.
Yeah, no, I had Ludwig. It's been a much anticipated rivalry for me forever. I really want to see Ludwig versus Gunther. So give me that before you ship him off to SmackDown. But if we keep up what WWE's done for years and years and years, we'll probably get a draft shortly after WrestleMania in some way, shape, or form. And I think that he would be high up on the probability charts for going to SmackDown. Yeah. To be with Tiff, obviously.
That's exactly my thoughts is the draft. Go right
You be with Tiff and you'd open up so many great feuds. And a feud between him and LA Knight would be just spectacular, right away. We got a little bit of a hint of that a while back when they were in Germany, I think. But that would be spectacular. I have one more big one and then one after, or two more. I have two more. So you have... I'll do one. You do your big list, and I'll do my last one. I did say Bronson Reed, which reports have recently come out that he's ready by summer this year, and they are planning to give him a big push when he does return. I don't want people to forget about him. He was doing some of the most spectacular work out of anybody this year when he was going. So much so, they put him in a freaking War Games match with the biggest stars in the industry at the time. So, I can't wait for him to come back. He could really change the game for what is your traditional WWE monster character because he's so athletic at his size. So I'm really interested and looking forward to seeing what he can do. Give him a solid push, man. He could go for that world title.
Yeah, I'm a Bronson Reed fan for sure. I was wanting something of substance for him before he got the stuff of substance. He came out every week and you're just like, oh, it's big Bronson Reed. And you're like, this is the gimmick. I would like a little bit of a gimmick change because, like, okay, Big Bronson Reed, I understand the big moniker might be dropped off of his name, kind of like Seth freaking Rollins. But I would like a little bit of a character change. The Godzilla thing doesn't really work for me. But he's good on a mic. He's fantastic in the ring. So I'm all for that.
Who's your last?
Yeah, my last one is ones that I think they're going to do a good job, but it's like, hey, let's just hammer these home. They're going to be the new arrivals. So they're going to be the Aleister Black, the Rey Fenix. And I did see today reported that Rusev is coming back.
As time of filming this Rusev's back.
Yeah, so as at time of filming this, Rusev's back. So all three of those guys, I'm sure they will.
It's Rusev Day.
I'm sure that they're going to do a great job, a fantastic job. Yeah. But pretty much, I want to see what they did with Penta with these other three. I mean, Penta was one of the guys that they did a really fantastic job with him right off the bat of capitalizing. It was really good to see because in the past at times you get new people and then it's just like, oh, okay, cool. You dropped the ball on this one. It's just another guy. So do what you did for Penta, basically. Give those three guys a superstar treatment. I'm sure they will.
For me, more specifically, Aleister Black. I think that he's spectacular and he should be utilized like he was in NXT and even better in AEW. He should be that type of guy in WWE. He should be that type of talent. My last one is a guy who hasn't gotten much time at all. It's John Cena. We're going to push him to the moon. Never lose this entire year. Carry the belt, retire with it, take it home, make us buy a toy one, and call somebody else a toy fake champion. Push John Cena to the moon. That's my spiel for the end of this. Push John Cena. You're damn right.
Oh, wow. Okay.
The last real champion.
I mean,
the last real champion of wrestling.
I got nothing. Go ahead.
Let us know in the comments who you would like to see get pushed. Obviously, we left a lot of people off. The NXT roster we will be covering in another podcast. Don't you worry about that. So other than NXT, let us know in the comments what you guys think. Come watch our live streams, of course, youtube.com/@CodWrestlePod, Raw, SmackDown, and PLEs, including WrestleMania, where we will be giving away a title belt, so you should probably be there. But follow us on all of our socials at CodWrestlePod, COD WrestlePod, YouTube, Spotify, Apple, anywhere you get your podcast. We have a link tree in our bio. It's all there. I'm Will. That's Brandon. We're the Cousins of Destruction Wrestling Podcast. We will see you next time.